got the message across. Came for the titles, impressive to watch. We play at the levels of Letterman jocks. Pins on the jacket, the man's abundant. The point of the road was being and rugged. Hushing, I'm applying no pants in London. The products are not being scared of some judgment. Gotta stay in the cut you off if you ain't making the cut. Couldn't tell you who the hell is behind us. You start to forget when you stay in the front of it's up. And it's up for grabs, no remorse of who I'm taking it from. Numbers I give on my scoreboard is the only form of us staying in touch. That's saying enough. It's time to receive for all of the favors I've done. Too late for y'all to switch teams. Everybody getting big leagues. Product flying out the shelf. What's in store for us? Known to hit a hole in one. Look at the crowd and shoulder shrug. Shots are limited. I'm scared mango with the golden gun. Posted up, ready for whatever, boy. You know what's up. Time's close, I whittled them down. Sticking to them by sticking around. The gang all on Iwo Jima got one flag and it's sticking the ground. Setting up shop. Think I got the message across. Came for the titles, impressive to watch. We play at the levels of Letterman jocks. Shout out to Steve. The boy getting love from the harsh critics. Strauss hit me bi-weekly to tell me keep taking it further. You aren't finished and I gotta listen. Any son of believing and see that I'm actually breathing and doing it real time. Love to pull an idea out thin air, act on it and profit in real life. If we not aligned, don't present me a dotted line. Yeah, I'm a QB, but I ain't handing on nothing for someone to monetize. And it goes to the birds too. Can't give it a time if a dollar so caught eyes. They get X'd out for they had the potential to be my ex. I know all the plays, I'm a seasoned vet. Yeah. Always showing up, known to hit a hole in one. Look at the crowd and shoulder shrug. Shots are limited, I'm scared mango with the golden gun. Posted up, ready for whoever, boy, you know what's up. Time's close, I whittled them down. Sticking to them by sticking around. The gang all on Iwo Jima got one flag and it's sticking the ground. Setting up shop. Think I got the message across. Came for the titles, impressive to watch. We play at the levels of Letterman jocks. Time's close, I whittled them down. Sticking to them by sticking around. The gang all on Iwo Jima got one flag. Yeah.
What is up, all you fine folks around North Central Ohio and beyond? I'm Travis Big League Berardi, and this is another episode of The Roundup with me, Big League Berardi, brought to you by the fine folks at the Graham Auto Mall. If you want a vehicle, head over to them. They will hook you up with a fine vehicle. You know what? It's tournament time. Baseball's into sectionals this week, softball's into districts, and it just makes me think of how close some of these teams have come in the past from making it far or not making it far. And you're asking, what does that mean? Well, let's go back a couple years ago. The Ontario Warriors baseball team in their sectional at home, playing against Sandusky, a lower seed, down to their final outs. They're in the bottom of the seventh. They're losing. They put up a few runs. They win that game. And what do? They end up going to the state championship game. This is how close these tournaments are. And for teams, how close it is to making it to a championship or making it out at home in a sectional. Go back even further to the Hillsdale Lady Falcons. One of the first years we had highlights of softball right here on the OH report, where Sidney Long and company at Hillsdale in a Final Four 0-0 with Bradford in the 8th inning, a walk-off wild pitch to win at 1-0, and then they dominate Strasburg-Franklin in the state championship game. It's that close. You talk about inches in basketball. You talk about the inches in football, other sports. Well, it's close in baseball, too. It can come down to one pitch, one wild pitch, one hit here, one hit there, and that is why I believe baseball and softball, at least for me, my favorite sports. And speaking of favorite things, we have all of our favorite things coming up on the show today. We have Brian Skowronski here with yet another edition of the Diamond Cuts. I'll be back with our chart topper from last week, as well as our next 5 nominees in the greatest hits. We have shout-outs in the talk of the town. We have our highlighted conference, which is the Northern 10. But before we get all to that, the best thing I have seen in this past week. Let's roll it. You think maybe, oh, it's just a sacrifice fly. It scores a run, but this is a very, very big run for the Buckettes of Buckeye Central. That run right there puts them into the district championship game for the first time in over a decade. This team had not, at least since 2015 when they joined the Northern 10, they had not even posted more than 10 wins on a season. Well, guess what? This team has 17 wins. They're the 1 seed, and they play Winford tomorrow right here on the OH Report, weather permitting, for a district championship. It is pretty cool. It's really cool seeing teams like this that have not had much success here, at least in the recent past, playing for the hardware. So congratulations to the Buckettes of Buckeye Central, knocking off Bucyrus 11-1. In the district semifinal in the rain to make it to the district championship game. But right now, it is time for our highlighted conference of the week. And yes, it is the Northern 10. And as always, let's start with softball because ladies first. We start with games just played yesterday. Tiffin, Columbia, and Seneca East. This was regular season. Seneca East already winning their sectional game. They knocked off Tiffin Columbian 10-8. Ella Martin 2 for 4, 3 RBI, and 2 runs scored. The next 2 games you saw live and free in the rain at Shelby. The Shelby D6 District Semis. Buckeye Central 11-1 winners. Grace Colleen struck out 10 and added a big fly in that victory. And then Winford, the 3 seed, all over the 2 seed New London, 19-0. Brooke Frombaugh, she drove in 7 RBI from her. She added 4 more runs. 11 of the 19 runs were accounted for by Brooke Frombaugh. Congratulations to her. Arcadia Mohawk, that district semi was not played yesterday. It will be moved to Thursday. That's fine because the district final was supposed to be on Saturday. So now they'll move it up to Thursday. Those 2 teams will play in a district semis. Cary knocking off Van Buren in a district semifinal 15-6. Danica Hanna went 2 for 5 with 3 RBI and 3 runs scored as Cary, the regional runners-up from a year ago, back in a district championship game. Earlier in the week, last week actually, Mohawk knocking off Upper Sandusky 5-2. That clinched at least a share of the Northern 10 standings. We'll take a look at the standings here in a bit, but that at least clinched a share for the Warriors. Patrick Henry over Cary 7-3. The Buckettes walk off Winford in 9-3-2. Could see that again here tomorrow in the district championship game. Could be a pitcher's duel. We'll find out live and free on the OH Report. Monroeville, in a rematch of that regional championship from a year ago, handled Cary 11-2, and Seneca East defeating Plymouth in a sectional championship game 6-1. Now let's take a look at the Northern 10 standings. So as you can see, the Mohawk Lady Warriors have clinched at least a share of the conference championship. They're a game and a half on Upper Sandusky. Upper Sandusky has to finish a game and then play Mohawk one more time. They have to win both of those to get the share of the title. Buckeye Central will finish behind at least a game back. We'll see, maybe it's 1, maybe it's 2. We'll have to see how Mohawk does in their final game. Winford finishes 2 back. Seneca East, Colonel Crawford, the Cary Lady Devils, and then Bucyrus. Technically, Bucyrus is 1-14 in conference. It won't count towards the standings, but they did knock off Colonel Crawford in a sectional championship, their first sectional championship since 2019. So congrats to Bucyrus. So you could say 1-14, but according to the standings, because that was a tournament game, they'll finish 0-14 in conference. Now let's take a look at the scoreboard for the baseball side of things as they get ready for tournament play. Upper Sandusky just yesterday, it needed 8 innings at Shelby to knock off the Whippets 3-1. The Rams plated 2 in the 8th, and then Brody Cox, who got the win, escaped a bases-loaded jam in the bottom, left nobody across the plate for Shelby. They win it 3-1. Winford knocking off Plymouth 9-1. The Royals are back over 500. Drew Johnson goes 2 for 2 with 5 RBI and a run scored. Nicholas Parks provided a 2 RBI double as part of a 6-run fifth inning to break things open in Seneca East's 7-1 victory over Arcadia. A game featuring the top 3 teams in Division 7. Number 1 in the state, Calvert Senecas, scored 4 in the second inning to help pace them past number 3 in the state, Mohawk, in what could be a possible preview of a Final Four matchup. Now, both are in the Northwest District, but their districts are in different regions, so we could very well see these two teams at either Canal Park or Thurman Munson Stadium, or even at Canal Park for a state championship game. Down to Cary and Arlington. That was suspended in the second inning. Cary leading 4-2. They will resume that game on the 27th. And then let's talk about the number 1 team in the state one more time, Calvert. 10-0 in 5 innings. The Senecas win on back-to-back days against Northern 10 opponents as they knock off Winford in 5. Blake Coleman goes 2 for 4, 3 RBI, and 2 runs scored. Some more scores from Monday. Lake knocking off Cary 9-6. The Bucyrus Redmond taking care of Mansfield Christian 10-5. Buckeye Central in a shootout, knocking off Riverdale 13-10 in non-conference action. And then back last week on Saturday, the Colonel Crawford Eagles defeating Winford 6-1. Now let's take a look at the standings, and congratulations to the Upper Sandusky Rams, who are at least shared champions of the Northern 10. We'll see what Mohawk can do in their final game. If they win it, they will get a share of the conference championship. Cary finishes 2 games back. Winford Winford will be 4.5 or 5 games back. 4.5 or 5 games back, depending on what they do against Mohawk. Colonel Crawford and Seneca East both finished 6 games back. Buckeye Central 9 games back, and Bucyrus 12 games back. So there are your scores and standings from the Northern 10 for both the softball and baseball sides, brought to you by the Graham Auto Mall in Mansfield. So, we had some great defensive plays over the last 2 weeks of our show. Brian Skowronski, the boss man, is back with this week's Top 5 Diamond Cuts through his eyes. Take it away, Ski.
All right, thank you, Big League. And what a time to be a high schooler right now. You can see it right around the corner. It's summertime, even though it's still flannel weather outside. But it is tournament time for both baseball and softball, which means it's win or go home all around the Buckeye State. And basically all season long, we've had a ton of local athletes shining bright like a diamond out in the field. So you definitely did not make it easy on me this week. I had to narrow it down from about 10 different defensive plays, but I finally did come to a decision. These are my top 5 best from this past week. Spin them. Here come your Diamond Cuts, presented exclusively by Graham Ford. We're going to begin the countdown today in Dromesville, where the WCAL champs from Waynedale are looking to close out a run rail victory, only they get gunned down by the Lewis brothers trying to swipe an extra bag. Knox rifles a dot to Kale like a shark with a laser beam on his head for the Hillsdale out. District title spot on the line at Shelby. Top-seeded Buckeye Central threatening early, but Bucyrus shutting down the base pass like a party that a parent came home early from work to. Peyton Fackler with the toss to Marissa Middleton, who makes an awesome exchange over to Carly Scholl for the double play. More district softball action from Hillsdale at number 3. Bases chucked for Cardinal, who'll get a clutch hit to left, which should score 2 if Aurora Martin didn't have a bazooka attached to her right shoulder. This one's not even close. Rocket beating the runner to the plate by basically a full second as the Falcons cruise in this one. 14-7, thanks a big part to this play. How about a quicker reaction time than a pesky housefly avoiding your rolled up newspaper at number 2? Addison Yetter. Ridiculous snag with the bases loaded, then tosses over to first base to end the frame. Winford would go on to get the win, but this Wildcat hurler makes our countdown for playing true to our mascot with reactions like that. But at number 1 this week, Ontario seeking an upset of top-seeded Lexington, who will get a single up the middle, but Maddie Mullins makes a mad dash for the throw home, and Lily Gray applies the tag. Look how crazy beneficial this wild hop off the second base bag is. Mullins tracks it down and delivers a bullseye to the freshman to end the inning. Now, Lady Lex would go on to win that game last night, 2-1, but in that fifth inning stretch, it really felt like the momentum all shifted in favor of Ontario. And you might notice that there were several losing teams on our countdown this week, but just because you don't get the dub doesn't mean you can't make the Diamond Cuts list. We try to take the very best, and I think those were the 5 most brilliant plays that we had all week long. But what say you? Check them out. Let me know down in the comment section what you think should be number 1 on this week's list. All right, that's it for me, guys. But coming up next, you've seen the defense. How about the greatest hits? Those are all on the way with Big League.
When you buy a Ford, you're buying American. You're buying a car, truck, or SUV built in Michigan, Missouri, Kentucky, and Ohio. Built by Americans for Americans in America. No tariffs, no price increase. You pay what we pay with Ford employee pricing for all. Ford Country. Everything we do is driven by you.
Back on the roundup with another edition of Big League's weekly top 40 minus 35. Yes, it is the greatest hits of the week. Our top 5 hits from OH Report softball and baseball games over the previous week. But before we get to our nominees, it is time to take a look at last week's chart topper. A ton of votes came in, and you voted for this, the winner. And that winner is Jordan Fickus. Her 4-for-4 performance against D7 state-ranked Monroeville was the top vote getter, 3 votes ahead of Upper Sandusky's Madison Hart, 80 votes to 77. Congratulations, Jordan. Our week 2 chart topper went to the plate 5 times, and she reached base 5 times. So congratulations to Jordan Fickus. Now it is time to unveil this week's top 5 nominees for next week's chart topper. Hit me with the horn, Tony. We start the countdown off going to the countryside back in 1973 with Dolly Parton's hit Jolene. But this greatest hit had a bit of a remix as it's Colleen, 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 Colleen. Grace Colleen's bomb helped the Buckettes to a district championship appearance. We take you now to 1978 where Foreigner was lighting up the charts like our nominee was lighting up the scoreboard. Waynedale's Jordan Miller was seeing double vision as he not only hit 1 home run, but 1 inning later added another as the Golden Bears finished a perfect WCAL season. Now we head back to this century for nominee number 3 in 2013. They say batters at the bottom of the lineup are there to get on base for the top of the lineup. But for the Hillsdale Lady Falcons and catcher Lacey Huber, she must have been listening to Drake as she started from the bottom. Now she's here. Her first bomb of the season helped Hillsdale get back to the district championship. We're sticking with the oldies in this countdown as we go back to 1980. The U.S. pulled off the miracle on ice, and Bob Seeger was popping out another hit that resonated with Upper Sandusky's Madison Hart as she sent this big fly against the wind. Despite a stiff breeze in from left field, she sends this one to Souvenir City. Our final greatest hit nominee comes from the angelic voice of Adele. Despite being down 1 run to your rival in the district semifinal, Lexington's Madison Taylor, with 2 on and 2 out in the 6th, set fire to the rain, dropping in this 2-run single to give them the 2-1 win over Ontario and a date in the district championship game. So there you have it. This week's 5 nominees for Chart Topper of the Week. Representatives are not standing by, but if you leave your vote in the comments section, 1 vote per person, we will tally them up and have the winner on next week's episode. So there are your 5 nominees. Like I said, you get 1 vote per person, but leave it in the comments section of the video that I will post tomorrow, and we will have it for you next week. Now it is time for my favorite segment of the show, the shout-outs by our MVPs over the past week in this week's episode of Talk of the Town.
Yeah, I'd like to thank our coaches for pushing us. I'd like to thank Logan, Cam, and Josh for shoving today on the mound, and my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ.
Okay, I want to shout out my family, of course. Thank you for always supporting me. And, of course, our pitchers. Kira and Kennedy pitched a great game. And, just our team as a whole, our coaches, we really showed up today, so I'm proud of us.
I'd like to give a shout out to my friends and family, and then a shout out to my cousins in Cincinnati as well. And then my number one, first baseman, Phoebe Rafferty, again for your shout out.
Shout out to my family, friends, everybody who came to support me, my teammates, coaches, cousins.
I'd like to shout out my team for always having my back, and my coaches, my family. That's it. I want to shout out my parents and my pitching coach, Mark, for getting me where I am today, and my coaches.
I'd like to shout out my dad, who comes to every game. My mom, that comes to every game. My teammates that are there to support me and everything. Wendy Moulton, aka Mindy Moulton, and Coach Bobo Trusty.
I want to shout out my mom and dad for always being my biggest supporters and pushing me to be the best, and just always being there for me no matter what. And my coach Adam for pushing me to be the best.
Obviously, shout out to my team for cheering me on and everything. I also shout out all my coaches, especially Todd and O'Connell, because O'Connell pushed me through my last at bat previous to that, and Todd for giving me a chance, as well as my mother. I thank you, Mom, because she has never given up on me and has made sure to stay up on me and stay on me for my at-bats and stuff. So she's definitely been my biggest supporter throughout this whole thing.
Before we roll out of here and get back into our tournament action live and free on the OH Report, yesterday after their big win in the district semifinal over Bucyrus, I had a chance to talk to Buckeye Central head coach Todd Messmer about just the phenomenal season that the Buckets have had. 17 wins, that's at least 7 wins better than any season they've had in the last 10 years. It's a great year. They have some key contributors, and we were able to chat with him after their win about everything. So here is that interview with head coach Todd Messmer. Welcome in, Todd Messmer, Buckeye Central head coach. Nice to see you again, Coach.
Yes.
You're playing for a district championship. When's the last time Buckeye Central's played for a district title?
It had to be past, 10 or 11 years at least.
Yeah.
And we're really excited. I mean, we had goals when we started our winter conditioning, and the girls decided that they wanted to meet their goals, and so far they have met their expectations.
I was looking back since the Northern 10 began. I think Buckeye Central's win total, the best win total overall they had was 10. You've improved by 7 games so far this year, 17. You're in the round of 32. You're a win away from a regional. What's clicked for this team so far? What's made you guys so good that you're playing for a district championship?
I feel that this is one of the closest teams that I think I've coached here at Buckeye. And we got a lot of returning veterans that's played the game before. And a lot of the players have played travel ball, and they know, what big games are like. And we have fantastic senior leadership. And seniors have really stepped up. Grace, Zoe, in particular, them two have really stepped it up, showed great leadership. And when it mattered most, they have come through great hits and great pitching.
You're playing for the district championship Thursday back here against one of the two teams that we are seeing next, either New London or Winford. Would you like a third try with Winford, or do you want to go against somebody new in New London, or it doesn't matter?
It doesn't matter to us. I mean, you got to beat everybody. So, I mean, they're both quality, really good teams. So we know that we're going to have our work cut out for us regardless of who we play next. So we'll go back to work tomorrow and prepare for the next game.
And before we let you go, what can you say about Grace Colleen? This year, over 200 strikeouts now for the season. She has 7 home runs. She does it all in the circle and at the plate for you.
Yeah, I'm so proud of Grace. You know, I've had her for 4 years, and each year she has gotten better and better. And this year in particular, she has shown great leadership, and she has pretty much decided to, when she needed to, put the team on her shoulders and take them to victory.
Good luck to Coach Messmer and the Buckettes. Like I said, weather permitting, tomorrow they will take on Winford for a district championship. Best of luck to them, and best of luck to the Royals as well. But that will do it for another fine episode of the Roundup with me, Big League Berardi. We're at the halfway point, 3 episodes down, 3 to go in this season. I want to thank the folks over at Graham Auto Mall for sponsoring this great show. Shout out to you guys. We appreciate you. If you want a fine vehicle, head on over there and they will hook you up. Also, make sure when we get these videos posted to vote on the greatest hit as well, and your thoughts on the diamond cuts. But that will do it for me. I will see you next week right here on the Roundup with me, Big League Berardi.